The relationship of singer David and Celeste. The 15-year-old girl's body was found in the trunk of his Tesla. We'll discuss the interesting connection that the two shared.
A 14-year-old girl is dead. A young man is presumed innocent until a court proves otherwise. And almost everything you've been told about what's happening to him right now is wrong. Stay with me to the end of this one, because the truth matters more than the headline. Before we talk about a famous name, we talk about hers. Celeste Rivas Hernandez. She was born in September of 2010 to a family that had immigrated from El Salvador, and she grew up in Lake Elsinore, California, about 70 miles outside Los Angeles. She had 2 older siblings. She went to her local school. She was, by every account from the people who loved her, a real kid with a whole life still in front of her. In early 2024, when she was just 13, her parents started reporting her missing. Not once, but multiple times. Imagine that for a second, the fear of those phone calls. And one thing I want to correct right away, because the early coverage got it lazy. She keeps getting called a runaway, and that word does a quiet kind of damage. It puts the choice on a child. The state's own allegations describe a kid who was being pulled away from her family, not one who was running towards something. Words matter when the person can't speak for herself anymore. In the spring of 2025, all contact stopped for good. Her remains were found in Los Angeles that September, one day after what would have been her 15th birthday. Her family has called her a beloved daughter, sister, cousin, and friend. That is who we keep at the center of this. Not the lore, not the clicks, her. The man now charged in her death is David Anthony Burke, the singer you know as D4VD. He's 21, and his story, until very recently, was the kind the internet usually loves. He didn't come up through the industry machine. He built an audience posting gaming videos online, making his own beats on a phone app in the background. Then, in 2022, a song called Romantic Homicide blew up, hit the Billboard charts, and turned a bedroom artist into a star. A record deal followed, 2 EPs, a debut album. He opened for major acts and played Coachella in April of 2025. That's the context the prosecution is leaning on hard. And we'll get to why. But hold on to one thing first. A charge is not a conviction. Let me show you how badly the headline version of this story breaks down. Here's where the viral framing falls apart, and you guys need to hear this clearly. There is no murder trial. There hasn't been one. A jury hasn't even been picked. What's actually on the calendar right now is something called a preliminary hearing, and those two things are not the same. A trial is where guilt or innocence gets decided. A preliminary hearing is a much earlier step. It's where a judge just looks at whether prosecutors have enough basic evidence to even send the case forward to a trial in the first place. That's it. So when you see a headline screaming that his murder trial got delayed, understand what that's really doing. It's skipping past months, maybe years, of process and quietly handing you a verdict that no court has reached. We're not going to do that here. Next, the number everyone keeps repeating. The headline says 10 terabytes of evidence. The real figure is bigger, and the context completely changes what it means. In court, prosecutors said law enforcement recovered more than 40 terabytes of digital evidence. Phones, computers, cloud accounts, the whole modern paper trail. So where does the famous 10 come from? That's just the slice prosecutors have handed over to the defense so far, as part of normal evidence sharing. 10 of the 40. To put 40 terabytes in perspective, that's the equivalent of tens of millions of pages of documents. That is not some dramatic court gotcha. It's what a modern investigation looks like when a person's entire digital life gets pulled into a case. Massive, slow, and nowhere near as cinematic as the thumbnail wants you to believe. Now, the delay itself. The way it's being sold online, a delay sounds sinister, like the walls are closing in. The reality is almost boring, and it's important. The hearing got pushed back because the defense asked for more time, not the prosecution, not the judge punishing anyone. Think about what we just said. 10 plus terabytes of evidence dropped on the defense team's desk. No lawyer on earth reads that in 3 weeks. So they filed for more time to actually go through it, and the judge agreed there was good cause. That's not a sign of guilt. It's the opposite. It's the system protecting a defendant's right to look at the case against him before anything moves forward. A boring continuance got rewritten online into a smoking gun. It isn't one. And that brings us to the worst part of the original headline, the little tag at the end that says he can't escape this. Sit with what that actually claims. It says the verdict is already in. It says guilt is a settled fact. And legally, factually, that is just not where we are. David Burke has pleaded not guilty. His defense team has said on the record that the real evidence will show he did not kill Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Now, that is their job, and you can be as skeptical of it as you want. But the second a faceless account decides the case for you before a single witness has been cross-examined, that's not commentary anymore. That's a mob with a thumbnail. So I'm going to lay out what's actually charged, and I'm going to keep the word alleged right where it belongs. The Los Angeles County District Attorney has charged Burke with first-degree murder, along with 2 other extremely serious counts. The first is the continuous sexual abuse of a child. And I want to be very precise about how we frame this, because the internet keeps getting it wrong. Prosecutors allege that what existed here was not a romance, it was abuse. They allege the contact began when Celeste was 13, and a 13-year-old cannot consent. Full stop. There is no version of that story that is a love affair, and we are not going to let anyone package it as one. The third count involves the alleged handling of her remains afterward, and out of respect for her and her family, that is as far into that as we go. On top of the murder charge, the state has added what are called special circumstances, and these are what make it a capital case. Prosecutors allege Burke killed Celeste to silence her as a witness, and that he did it to protect his career and his income. They also allege he lay in wait. If he is convicted, and that is a very big if, he could face life without parole, or even the death penalty. The DA hasn't decided yet whether to seek it. Let's separate the 3 buckets, because they keep getting blended together. Bucket 1, what an official medical examiner has confirmed. After the autopsy was unsealed, the examiner ruled Celeste's death a homicide. That is the official record, and that is all the detail you need from it. And when those findings were finally released, the examiner said something I think about a lot, that it was unfathomable the family had to wait this long just to learn what happened to their daughter. That's the human cost of a sealed case, months of not knowing. Bucket 2, what prosecutors claim. The state filed a detailed brief laying out an alleged timeline, an argument, a motive, a cover-up, and digital material they say they recovered. Every word of that is the prosecution's theory. It is unproven. Reading it out as fact is exactly the trap this whole video is trying to keep you out of. And bucket 3, the defense. His lawyers haven't just denied it quietly. They've pushed back hard on that very brief, calling it a one-sided document released to shape public opinion before any of it has been tested in a courtroom. Whether you buy that or not, it's a fair point about process. Allegations in a press release have not survived a single cross-examination. None of this has. Here's a piece that matters, because it connects to the motive prosecutors allege. When the remains were found in September of 2025, Burke's career didn't slow down. It collapsed overnight. The tour was canceled, a festival date was dropped, his label suspended his promotion. A planned deluxe album was permanently shelved, major brands cut ties. Even a collaborator pulled their song with him off streaming. Now, here's the honest broker tension. The prosecution points to exactly this empire and says, this is what he allegedly killed to protect. But notice what that is. It's a theory of motive, not proof of the act. A career can collapse because someone is guilty. It can also collapse the moment an accusation this horrifying becomes public, guilty, or not. Both of those things are true, and a responsible story holds both at once. And I have to address the thing half the comment sections are obsessed with, the songs. His biggest hit was literally called Romantic Homicide. He's talked in interviews about an evil alter ego, a character who commits crimes the good version of him then has to solve. And I get it, that's eerie. I felt it too reading it back. But I need you to hear this. Song lyrics are not evidence. An artistic persona is not a confession. Writers have built entire careers imagining dark things they would never do. That's the whole job. The internet has taken his art and turned it into a true crime Easter egg hunt. And that's where I get off the ride. If a man is going to be judged, let him be judged on evidence that holds up in a courtroom, not on a chorus that went viral 3 years before any of this. Pinning a murder on a metaphor is how innocent people get convicted in the court of public opinion. So where does everybody land on this? Honestly, the comments split into a few very different camps, and all of them are worth hearing. One camp is just grief. As one person put it, she was a 14-year-old kid, a child, and people are forgetting that in all the drama about his music. Another camp is holding the line on due process. Someone wrote that everyone's convicting him in the comments before there's even been a hearing. A third camp is pure anger at the alleged abuse. And frankly, that one's hard to argue with on a human level. And then there's the camp I keep coming back to, the media literacy folks. One comment just said, "Stop treating this like a Netflix documentary for your entertainment. It's a real grieving family." That one should be pinned on every video about this case, including the ones that look like mine. So why spend a whole video correcting a thumbnail? Because this case is a perfect example of how modern outrage gets manufactured. 40 terabytes of someone's digital life, a routine delay, a pre-trial brief. Each one is ordinary on its own, and each one got reshaped into proof of guilt before anyone earned the right to say that word. And the cost isn't just unfairness to a defendant. It's that the actual victim, a real child with a real family who waited an agonizing amount of time just to learn what happened to her, gets buried under the lore, the lyric theories, and the engagement bait. If we're going to talk about this at all, the least we can do is talk about it honestly. So here's where I land. A court will decide what happened to Celeste Rivas Hernandez with rules and evidence and cross-examination. The slow, unglamorous machinery that exists precisely so that we don't convict people with thumbnails. David Burke is presumed innocent, and he will stay that way until and unless a jury says otherwise. Both of those sentences can be true at the same time. But the one thing we already know for certain is the saddest one. A 14-year-old girl is gone, and a family is grieving her. So if you take anything from this, let it be patience with the process and care for the person at the center of it. If this was the version of the story you wanted, the honest one, you can let me know in the comments, and I'll keep covering these the same way. Take care of each other. And Celeste, we're not going to forget your name.